This broadcast is the property of Codependents Anonymous. Reproduction without written permission from Codependents Anonymous is not permitted.
Okay, so I have the opportunity of introducing our next speaker, Karen. I've only met her once in Houston last year, but I've listened to many of her workshops, and you are in wonderful hands. So I would love to introduce Karen D. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you so much, Chris. I appreciate it. There's a handout going around. If you take one each, we're going to be looking at all of those today. 4 steps, a big deal. I want to thank everybody first for showing up. I figured I'd have 2 or 3 people. Right? We're talking about the 4 step. Who in their right mind would want to do this? Anyone? Yeah, it's a big boogeyman. I saw something really neat on Facebook today, which is where I get most of my wisdom. And it says, hold on, let me make sure I say this correctly. I wrote it down and everything. It says, fear won't keep you from death, but it will keep you from life. Let me say that again. Fear won't keep you from death, but it will keep you from life. Ain't that the truth? So we're in here to do whatever it takes to get well. My sponsor had to keep reminding me of that. I'm a loophole girl. I was trying to figure out how to get around this to where I didn't look so bad all the time. But she was pretty patient with me and said, yeah, just do it. I saw today the Olympics have started. Has anybody ever watched rugby? Anyone? Oh, my God. I've never, ever watched rugby. You know that game is only 14 minutes long? Period. It's 14 minutes. They don't have quarters. They have a halftime. Doesn't last very long. And they will do anything to get that ball over the line. Anything. 14 minutes. That's it. It's not like this big drowned-out football thing. So for 14 minutes, I didn't really see any rules particularly. I guess you can poke people in the eye and gouge people, do whatever you have to do. But it's kind of like the 4-step. Whatever it takes, you know? You do whatever it takes. Because on the other side of this, there's a pony waiting for you. I promise. So we have, let me pull it up. In the middle of the book, or, not in the middle of the book, but on the 4-step chapter, the 4th step, they have this graph for us. And it has different people from this man's life. And what happened and what he did as a result. And that's really what the 4-step is. We're trying to find out what we do in certain situations. What's my go-to? And I'm going to read off these for you because I find this personally fascinating. And then we're going to do the boss. I'm going to break it down into one of my spreadsheets that I have my sponsees do. So if anybody was thinking about me asking me to sponsor you, check that out first. Okay, because everybody uses that one. Okay, what do we have here? He's got his mother first. Oops, there we go. I made up lies to get her to give me money when I was broke 3 different times. Who's done that before? Sounds familiar. Well, she owed me in my mind. She owed me. And she better give me, she should be taking care of me because she certainly didn't when I was a kid. That's how I justified it. My feelings that drove those behaviors, shame about being irresponsible for my own finances, fear of her judgments of me, fear and anger about having to be financially responsible and having to get help. And the more I needed somebody else's help and they gave me help, the angrier I was with them because they had it together and I didn't. So I got jealous and I got pissed. That should have been me. Consequences to me in the relationship. The truth is, here's where the truth is. This is the column for truth. Abandonment and neglect of my own financial responsibilities kept me financially and emotionally dependent on her. I manipulated her to be financially responsible for me. Kept me in the child role in our relationship and not equal. For me, once I got out of AA rehab, I had nowhere to go, had no options, largely unemployable. So Mom says, listen, let me come down and get you. She was married to her fourth husband, brand new. He said, if you have a chance to save a life, you should. So they rented a y'all hall, came down and got me, and up we went to Lake Tahoe where they had a nice big house. And I got angry with her for that. But my mom and I didn't have the best of relationships. Anybody have a great relationship with their mom growing up? Really? So weird. Notice, no women raised their hands. No women. Because it's combative. That's why we're here. That's what got us into CoDA. That's the most important relationship in our lives. If you're a female, is the one with your mother. And if it's, you had a good relationship? I'm sorry. The question, did you have a good relationship with your mother? Okay. See, the men do, the girls don't. It's across the board because we're codependent. We were fighting. My mom and I, as it turns out, are exactly the same. I hate to say that. The decisions that she made, I would have made the same decisions. And I hate to say that. Doesn't make me look very good. You know, she made some bad choices. But I understand why she did it now, because I worked through steps. And I didn't like the fact that she was going to be financially responsible for me. I said, I'll stay here for a month or two, get some money under my belt, and off I'll go. Well, you know, best laid plans. It worked out eventually. What did I feel about that? Sad, ashamed, and guilty. Father. This is interesting. When I first started reading about this guy, I thought it was a girl because of my own personal history from my family. So here's this relationship with his father. My codependent behaviors and reactions. I stayed resentful, angry, and bitter about his sexual, verbal, and physical abuses of me without seeking help or resolving these. He would pretend that everything was fine when I was around him, etc. My stepdad during the day was a totally different animal than the one that showed up in my bedroom at night. Totally different. The one during the day was punitive, who would yell at me and hit me, and then the one at night, totally different. It's confusing when you're a kid. You know, you don't know what exactly is going on. I didn't have any brothers, so I didn't really know, what in the world is that? So anyway, that's for another day. My feelings that drove those behaviors, fear, anger, and shame about facing these issues. Fear of being abused and abandoned by him if I told him I was in CoDA or therapy. Fear of being labeled crazy and of being the bad guy in the family. I already had that label. I was the scapegoat. So that was already a given. Consequences to me in the relationship. The truth is continued loss of love and intimacy with him. Risk of my kids acting out my emotional secrets about him. Abandoned and neglected my own feelings about this. Needed to use anger, resentment, and bitterness to cover my hurt, fear, and shame about being abused. Didn't learn to stand up for myself, either with him directly or in some healthy way to gain a sense of empowerment with abusive men. End result, lonely, sad, ashamed, scared, and angry. The things that happened to you when you were a kid, by the way, you didn't have any control over that stuff. You had no choices. You had no way out. Legally. Couldn't even leave legally. I remember I was a sophomore in high school when they changed the legal adult age from 21 down to 18. And I got 3 years cut off my sentence. Just like that. Oh my God, it was the happiest day of my life. I can't tell you. I was overwhelmed. I was so happy because I thought I was going to be stuck in that house till I was 21. And it was a house of horrors. It really was. Okay, here's his wife. My codependent behaviors and reactions. She raged at me in the park, and I stayed silent for a couple of days. Silent treatment never works, by the way. You're the first one to give in. Just saying. My feelings that drove those behaviors, this is your fear. Fear and terror of her raging or abandoning me if I stood up to her. Fear she might look for someone else. Fear and anger that she would make me out to be the wrong one. Here again, he's afraid he's going to be the wrong one or the bad guy. It's so funny that we're so afraid of losing people that are mistreating us. That should be a blessing. And we're like, oh, no, don't go. What is the name of that book? I Hate You, Don't Leave, or something like that. I Love You, Don't Leave. Anyway, Consequences to me in the relationship. Abandoned and neglected my own feelings about this. Neglected myself in the relationship by not standing up for myself. Enabled her to continue raging. Controlled her through silence. Maintaining lack of intimacy by punishing her with silence. I have a little word of advice. Silent treatment does not work. They really enjoy that. Okay, when we stop talking finally, they really enjoy that. So silent treatment, that's not a good tool. End result, lonely, sad, ashamed, scared, and guilty. My current boyfriend and I, we've been together for 17 years now, but we were just dating, and we were going up the ski lift together, and I forget what I was talking about, but I said, and that's all I have to say. And he said, oh, thank God, peace and quiet. And I almost fell off the lift. I was laughing so hard. He says, okay, somebody can take a joke because I'm not afraid with him. I knew almost instantly that I didn't need to be afraid of him. He was not going to try to hurt me on purpose. And that turned out to be true. But, of course, now he was raised correctly. He was raised with love and consequences. If he did something wrong, he got consequences. He got in trouble, but he didn't get in trouble when he didn't do something wrong. There's a difference there. He knew if he did something wrong, bad times were coming, but the rest of the time he knew he was loved. That's a healthy household, and he grew up healthy as hell. He doesn't get why I need to be in CoDA. I said, no, I don't know any of the stuff that you know. None of this comes naturally. My parents didn't learn that either. Okay, daughter, this poor thing. I really resonate with her because this was my role in the family. A couple of days after my wife raged at me in the park, I raged and dumped all over my daughter for not emptying the trash. Everything was fine between my wife and I after that. Duh. That girl's the scapegoat. It's not about the trash. It's never about the thing. It's not about the thing we're yelling at. You didn't empty the trash. It's not about that. He's still mad at his wife. He needs to let off steam. My mom let off steam on me fairly frequently, actually. She apologized to me one year. It was about 15 years ago. I was talking to her about Step 9 in a different program, and she told me that she had a snapshot in her head, and she needed to apologize to me. I'm like, well, this is for it. I'm waiting for the punchline, right? So she said that she came home from work, and her picture in her head was me tucked in a corner, covering myself while she was wailing on me. And, of course, my first thing out of my mouth, well, oh, my God, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this, right? Because it's all my fault. And she said, actually, that's the problem. You hadn't done anything. I'd had a bad day. And the fact that her pride would let her say something like that to me was amazing. That was amazing. It let me off the hook from being that really bad kid. I just thought I was a bad kid. I must be. Because I was brought up in the Leave It to Beaver age. The parents love the kids, period. It's the law. And conversely, you love your family. You love your parents. You have to. If you say, I'm mad at my mother or I hate my mother, you're a bad person. So that's kind of, CoDA let me say that. Not all the time and not to her, but I, finally said it out loud. My feelings that drove those behavior, months of anger, resentment, pain, and shame about my wife's ragings that I never shared with my wife or addressed at all. Consequences to me in the relationship. The truth is, I abandoned and neglected my feelings about my wife's behavior and raging. I reinforced the role for my daughter as my emotional scapegoat. I drove my daughter and I further apart. I reinforced fear and lack of trust in my daughter toward me. I reinforced the message to my daughter that raging is a part of a relationship and it's okay. It's not okay, but the daughter doesn't know that. What do you think she's going to carry forward to her relationships? It's okay when somebody screams at you. That's part of the deal. That's part of being in love. The old Tammy Wynette Stand By Your Man song. That's the most codependent song ever penned. If you haven't heard the words to it, Stand By Your Man by Tammy Wynette, for you youngsters, look at the words. You'll be shocked. Okay? Stand by your man, really, no matter what. That's the same thing as a rugby team. No matter what. You just get in there and do whatever you have to do. If you have to gouge somebody's eye out, go ahead. Again, no penalties that I could see. Okay. And what did I get from that? All of the stuff that he's tried to do so far, all of the patterns that he's used and all of his good thinking so far has gotten him sad, ashamed, guilty, and scared. That's it. And here's my favorite. There's so many things wrong with this last one. And this is the one that we're going to break down. His boss, Alan. Codependent behaviors and reactions. My boss told my coworkers about something confidential that I'd shared with him, and I became angry and called in sick the next day so that I wouldn't have to face them. My feelings that drove those behaviors. Fear that I might be fired if I told him how angry I was. Fear of losing the friendship if I told him how angry I was. Fear of him reacting to me in front of my coworkers. Fear of being judged by him and any coworkers as being too sensitive. God, I heard that a lot. You're too sensitive. You're too sensitive. No, you just crapped on me. Okay, that's not being sensitive. And pain that my friend broke my confidence. Consequences to the relationship. I abandoned and neglected my own feelings. Loss of trust and integrity in myself to stand up for myself and in him. Loss of intimacy with my friend. Loss of integrity within my friendship by not being honest. I reinforced the value that it's okay for people to violate my confidences. And again, what did he net from this? He was sad, lonely, angry, guilty, ashamed, and scared. That's it. There's nothing positive in any of the results. Let me juggle here just a moment. And this is the fourth step that all my sponsees do. It's quite involved, but I'll tell you, at the end of it, you know what your problem is. You know, I personally spent my life looking at what other people's problems were. If they would behave in a different way, then I would be happy. If they would change their behavior toward me, then I would be happy. They need to change. I labeled them as the problem. And my sponsor made it simple for me. Karen, every time you're trying to figure out what the problem is, go find the nearest mirror and take a good look. Just go take a look in the mirror. You're the problem. You're reacting to something. And that's it. Okay, Alan, my boss. What happened? He told my coworkers a secret I had shared with him. Which patterns were activated? Denial. Here's my favorite. I think my boss is my friend. He's not his friend, obviously. He's his boss. Bosses don't get, hold on. Levels of friendship. Here we go, coming up. Where is it? Word. Let's plug into the levels of friendship real quick for anybody who hasn't seen this yet. All relationships start out as a one. You have this in front of you. This is going to change your life. If you haven't seen this yet, it's going to change everything. Changed me. Yes. My sponsor wrote one of hers when she had listened to somebody else about his, and she wrote hers. I took it and wrote mine. And so this is my opinion. This is not cast in stone. It's not CoDA literature, although we are considering making a pamphlet out of it. All relationships start out as a one, the superficial level. Each level is unique and healthy relationship. It is never the goal to move people to a 6. Each person will drop into a category based on his or her behavior. This boss should never have been considered a friend. He's a boss. In my personal opinion, if you were not raised properly, if the person that you're dealing with hasn't been raised properly or is not in recovery, they should not go past a 2. Okay, let's read 1. 1 is superficial. That's skin level. Okay, they don't go inside ever. This is an insignificant level, and this is where everyone starts. These people don't affect my life one way or the other. Level 1 is for people I've just met. It's also for people who have been moved back from higher levels. The people here are strictly surface relationships. There are no emotions attached at this level. I have no expectations of them. And there are no obligations either way. I keep all my personal information to myself. If he had not considered his boss a friend and confided in him things that his boss probably didn't even want to hear, obviously, he passed it on. You know, he wasn't really in tune with this whole friendship thing. This would have never happened. Level 2, casual. This person has moved forward from level 1 due to common ground, such as coworkers, classmates, recovery people, etc. During this probation stage, I begin to evaluate this person to determine whether they should move forward to a higher level or just stay here. I still have no expectations of them. There are no obligations either way. I keep all my personal information to myself. This is the vetting stage. This is where you assess them. If you want to call it judgment, go ahead. But it's about time we judged other people for a change, instead of just judging ourselves when we make mistakes. At this level, I actively look for and don't dismiss or make excuses for red flags. And everybody in this room has excused a huge red flag at some time or another and gotten into a relationship you shouldn't have been in. Where am I? There we are. Here's a big one for me. How do they treat animals? If there is even the slightest hint of animal abuse at all in another person, they're a 1 permanently. There's no reason. And for me, that's the deal breaker. That's a level 1 forever. And if there was a 0, they would be there. Do they criticize you? Are they a victim? Do they try to fix you? How do they talk to their mother? Or for the men, how do they talk to their father? It's important because they're going to treat you the same way. I remember I've only met their representative. For the first 90 days, you've just met who they want you to think they are. You have introduced them to the same person. You know, you're dancing around each other trying to, I know it is hot in here, I'm so sorry. You've been dancing around trying to figure out what they want you to be like, and they've been doing the same thing to you. So you're not really your legitimate selves. You're not authentic. You're just kind of doing this dance and playing a role that kind of matches up with that other person. It's a perfect match. And so you move forward. After about 90 days, that drops. The people will start dropping their role and their facade to you, and then you find out who they really are. That's why people keep trying, if only I could get back to the way it was in the beginning. That person doesn't exist. That person is a representative. They're trying to think, what does this person want? So I'm going to try to be that. Same thing you're doing. It's not real. It's a fake relationship. Sad but true. Yes, you can. Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually it's almost funny, because if they treat their mom, if you're in a relationship with a man and they start dogging on their mother, that's the way they're going to treat you, because that's the way they're going to treat all women. If you can't even respect your own mother, if you can't even be polite or respectful to her, how are you going to treat your girlfriend? For the men, it's how does she talk about her father? He's an asshole. He's oops. Now, see, I cussed. Thank you so much. They'll probably cut that out. I just, every once in a while I slip. But if they talk, he's a loser, he's a this, he's a that. This is something their mother probably told them, or they wouldn't even know that. They don't know anything about, we don't know what's going on with adults. We don't know about their own codependent ways. They're stuck in a relationship together because we're thinking about ourselves when we're growing up. We're the center of the universe. We don't stop to think maybe they're having troubles too. And this guy that she keeps telling you about that's such a jerk might actually be the good guy. So, yes.
I'm guessing that if the parent was very problematic, that they speak about that person in a respectful way, even though that person was highly problematic.
It depends on who they're talking to. Remember, you've got 2 representatives here. And if one is talking about, my dad, he treated me so badly, so did mine, because you're matching up, okay? And if my dad, he was so great, my mom was the one that was bad. I had a great dad too, matching up.
Here's what I'm getting at. So let's imagine that a person a man has a mother who was very problematic, mental illness, abusive. A man has a mother who's mentally ill, abusive, all those things. Obviously, a person has to, at some level, once you've reached one of these higher levels of relationships, speak about them truthfully. But I guess you're arguing that they should do so truthfully but respectfully, and then they're maybe worthy of your trust?
Great question. Should I lie? My mom's great. She's great. What a gal. Wow. It depends on what level you're at. If you're on a level 2, you're keeping your personal information to yourself. You're finding out about them. Okay? This is that personal stuff that doesn't even come in yet. If you happen to hook up with a narcissist by accident, which all of us have, I'm pretty sure, that's fodder later. That's cannon fodder. Whatever you tell them about your personal life, they're going to use against you later. Okay, let's see where we at. I remember I've only met their representative, the person they want me to think they are. I've introduced them to my representative. After 90 days minimum. This is not a 1-week process, folks. I did not put my current 17-year boyfriend in a level 6 for 5 years. 5 years. Because, he was a level 5 for a long time. But I wasn't completely fearless because I still had fears. It had nothing to do with him. I still had fears that I had to work out. I still had a CoDA program to deal with. Then I could put him comfortably into a 6. And we'll read about that one in just a moment. After 90 days, check their behavior. What changed? Because if they introduced you to their representative, something has changed. And now you're in that fight to get them back to the way they used to be, which they never were. They just don't exist. That, like it was in the beginning, not real. It's not real. I didn't know that. God, how much time I wasted. I swear, if I had that time. Okay, never mind. And after 90 days, I checked my own behavior. Am I being authentic with this person, or am I lying? Okay, level 3, companionship. We're not even at friendship yet. Level 3, companionship. This is a buddy stage. This is a ski buddy, a movie buddy, something that you like to do together. They've moved up from level 2. This level begins your one-on-one relationships. It should only be considered for people who have recovery or were raised in healthy households. Everybody else stays at a 1 and 2. They don't need to move forward, and that's okay. Each one of these levels is a good relationship. As soon as you drop people into the proper level, you can have great relationships with them. You just don't trust a 1, You don't tell them anything about you. They're insignificant. They bounce right off you. If they happen to throw a barb at you, it's like, because they're insignificant. They don't get in your skin. It's been 90 days and they're off probation. For romantic relationships at level 3, I start deciding whether this is a sacred, devoted relationship or is it just a friendship. Either one is okay. I can begin to share personal information at this level and see what they do with it. Do they try to fix it? Do they try to minimize it? If my personal information is shared with others, I move this person back to a 2. It's that simple because that's where they belong. They put themselves in the category where they belong. And you really don't even have to work at that. You don't have to make the decision. You don't have to decide. They'll show you who they are. Just let them show you. And when they show you, believe them. This is more intimate. Oops, I'm reading ahead. I am not in a hurry to move someone forward. This is a nice level. Companionship. Who wouldn't want that? It's a great level. Now we go on to number 4. This is after quite some time. Again, this doesn't happen in a week. My friend has made it through the dissection of levels 1, 2, and 3. This level is a partnership between 2 people who value each other equally. It's a good time to evaluate my friends and make sure that I'm a 4 with them too. If they're treating me like a 1, I need to move them back to a 1. Okay, that's where they belong. It's simple. This whole program is very, very simple. It's just not easy because we want them to be a 6. Okay, codependents are famous for having unequal partners. This is more intimate than my other relationships. This is the person who feels safe to me, and I naturally spend more time with them than others. Your sponsor will often fit in here while you're working the steps. That's a tight relationship. It's trusting. It's fearless. It should be. And if you're not fearless with your sponsor, get a different sponsor. So that's friendship, finally, at level 4. Now, level 5, intimate relationship. This is an equally deep partnership with shared passions, trust, and respect. If you're on the opposite end of the political spectrum, you're probably not going to be a 5. You know, not these days. It used to not matter, but these days, if you're on the opposite ends, you might not make it to 5. We can sit in a room without talking and be completely comfortable. Time spent together builds more trust and respect, not less. When we discuss deeply private information, we know our privacy will be respected and won't be weaponized. We can confidently take bigger risks with each other. This is a true companion. This is lovely. It's not the goal, but it's lovely if someone gets all the way up here. So when we were doing an exercise first thing this morning, when this girl said her biggest fear, because we were doing the opposite, say what you're afraid of and then say the opposite. And she said that she was afraid she was going to be alone for the rest of her life. And I said, what's wrong with that? And it looked like I'd slapped her. She thought, she had never really considered that, I don't think, that it would be okay to be alone. I mean, I'm an isolator, so for me, that's like, okay. Then number 6, this is a committed partnership. This is the big banana. This is the only level where marriage can be considered. If you want to get married, we're not going to get married. So it doesn't matter. He's taking care of me if he passes before I do and all that stuff. We don't need to be married. This is a faithful, trustworthy, and fearless relationship. What I mean by that, I know that he will not deliberately hurt me, and he knows that I will not deliberately hurt him. Our senses of humor get in the way sometimes, but other than that, we don't intentionally hurt each other. We both share responsibility for the relationship, and we honor each other equally. This level is for that one person I can honestly say I want to be with just as they are for as long as we're both alive. I'm not going to try to change that person. They're okay. They got some picadillos. My boyfriend's not perfect. I'm not perfect. But, all in all, it's good. I like him to be a little bit tidier. Big deal. It's his house, his stuff. So, not a big deal. With everything else that he brings to the table, I could certainly live with that. I just use hoarder verbiage on him every once in a while, and it's all good. Let's see. All right. So now we're back to the boss here. He thinks his boss is his friend. Now we know that's absolutely not true. He should have kept this guy to 1 at a 2 at the maximum, but this guy likes to talk about him. Seems like he likes to put people down or maybe be one up from people. That's the only reason you tell somebody else's personal stuff, is you want to be a one up so that they can be a one down. Which patterns were activated? Denial. I think my boss is my friend. That is not your friend. And I didn't really come up with things. Yes. Can you say more about that, what you just explained, one up, one down? Oh, yes. One up, one down. This is important. Mary and Ken talk about this all the time. Either less than or better than. And the only way you can reach that conclusion is if you compare yourself to somebody else. That's the only way you can get there, to decide if you're better than they are or worse than they are. Either way, that's a losing proposition. How about if you're just equal with them? They get to be who they are. You get to be who you are. And if you like hanging out together, that's great. My boyfriend gets to be exactly who he is, warts and all, and so do I. We don't correct each other's except for the dishwasher. But it turns out he was right about that. He actually does stack the dishwasher better than I do. So I adopted the way he did it. What's the big deal? I used to fight over stuff like that. It's ridiculous. So, okay. Avoidance. This is a good one. Okay, so he practiced avoidance. If I stay home the next day, I don't have to face my coworkers and be embarrassed in front of them. That's exactly what I would do in that situation. Avoidance is the laziest pattern, and that was my go-to. Low self-esteem. I'm afraid to confront him about this. I'm afraid he's going to say, "You're not my friend anymore." Well, he never was a friend. And compliance. I still consider him a friend. Yeah, not so much. What did you tell yourself about this to make it okay in your head? This is important because we adjust ourselves to the current situation to make it okay so that we can keep going in that relationship. We do this all the time. Codependence. Once you're well, you don't do it anymore. Oh, you're a jerk. don't need to telegraph that to them, but you don't hang out with them anymore. It's simple. But I can actually assess people a lot easier than I used to. And it's not a judgment on them. It's not to find out if they're better or worse than I am. It's to find out if they're a genuine person, see if they've got recovery, see if they've been raised right. You know, you can find out. It takes 90 days at least to figure somebody out. Spend the time. If you think they might be worth it, take that time. But really keep your eyes open. I've shut down some red flags that were just ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Ugh. When I think about it now, and I actually, when I did this seminar initially that was just on this, I said, okay, let's talk about red flags. And I had people telling about red flags. Okay, so what'd you do? I married him. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, of course you did, right? Yeah, you know. Oh, yeah, I slept with him. Okay, yeah. Because we just push that aside, make excuses for that person, and then go ahead and continue on with the relationship. Stop doing that. Yes?
Suggesting that in order to be objective, you would wait at least 90 days if you were considering someone for a love partnership?
Yes, actually any partnership, a roommate if possible. If it's possible to wait 90 days with somebody you don't know, I know that's not really feasible anymore. People, read somebody's profile and say there's a match, and but if you are a coworker, for example, can I trust this person? Wait for 90 days. See how they talk about other people. If they talk about another one of their coworkers disparagingly, wait till they hear what they say when you're not in the room. Okay, that's it. That's who they are. If they show you who they are, believe them. If they start talking about somebody else in a judgmental way, that's who they are, and they're going to judge you too. So you can decide from their behavior within that 90-day period, because you got your eyes open now. You stop making excuses for them and stop shoving things aside. That's probably an anomaly. And it isn't. But they'll show you who they are. They'll show you exactly where they belong. Okay. Let's see. If I hadn't told him, this is how he made it okay in his head. If I hadn't told my boss about this, he wouldn't have told my coworkers. It's my fault. Here's the beauty of taking the blame about things. As long as you take the blame for something, you're still in control of the situation. Here's what I mean by that. When I was growing up, like I said, I'm the scapegoat. As soon as I said, I'm sorry, then that water that was just about to boil over the rim settles back down. And that's all it took, and I knew that. So I would say, I'm sorry, and it's my fault, sorry, all the time. Because when I did that, the room settled back down. So I had control. And then I would, of course, put it on my list of things not to do on a Tuesday. I might be able to do that exact same thing on a Thursday when Mom was in a better mood, but not today. Okay, right. I had a huge list of things that I could say, couldn't say, wear, don't wear, it was endless. Let's see if we have time. Yeah, we got time. Okay, what were you afraid of? There are two categories of fear. One is I'm going to lose something I already have. And the other one is I'm not going to get something I think I need. That's it. It's multiple choice. There's only two of them. Figure it out. If you're doing your 4-step, one of those two things is threatened. For him, he was afraid he was going to lose his job, his friendship, and respect from his coworkers. Those are already gone. The only thing still hanging in there is his job. I was afraid I wouldn't get promoted. I wouldn't get a raise. If I speak up to this guy, he's not going to give me a raise next time. Next promotion that's available, I'm not going to get it because he knows that I'll go up against him, and that's wrong. That's bad. That's garbage. Howard, yes. Sure. There are two categories of fear. One, I'm going to lose something I already have. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose respect. I'm going to lose my place in the community. I'm going to lose my standing. I'm going to lose my boyfriend if I tell him, I don't like the way you're treating me, or you're an a-hole right now. He might say, you're too much trouble. Get out. That's what I was afraid of. Second category, I'm going to lose something. I'm not going to get something I think I need. It's not something I need. It's something I think I need. We don't need as much as we think we do. We already have everything that we actually need. So the things you might think you need are a wedding ring. Okay? Every time I'll go out with a boyfriend, it's going to be on the third date, I was already measuring him for a tux. Yeah, about, and figuring out where my destination wedding was going to be. I was married 3 times. I'm so codependent, it's just disgusting. And it's just part of my story. But my first wedding, or my first marriage proposal, he said, look, you're not that smart and you're not that good looking. Who's going to marry you if I don't? And I saw the wisdom in that. And I married him. Yeah, I married him. Hell yeah. Yeah, because he was probably right about that. That's how bad it was for me. So climbing out of that little closet took a while. When I drank myself into alcoholism and got into AA, there was one guy he cracked me up all the time. But this one day he said, "Yeah, I'm just here trying to build up some low self-esteem." I said, "Yeah, I get that. I do. I get that." Okay, so you might lose something you already have, might not get what you think you need. How are these affected? Personal. I can't trust him anymore. Sexual, I hope that's not in there. Financial, if I lose my job, I'm going to have money problems. I'm going to have to go get another job. I'm not going to have health insurance for 90 days. All this other stuff that you have to do. I was worried that I was going to lose my job one time. I'd been there for already, I guess, about 16 years. And then they brought in help for me in the summer. This is your new helper. I'm going, what is this now? Young guy. I'm thinking, no. They say, I want you to teach him everything you know. I'm going, okay, I know what's going on. I'm not stupid. I know I'm getting replaced, right? That's replacement verbiage. That's you're out of here as soon as you train this guy. So I went racing over called my sponsor. Got to talk to you right away. He said, well, I'm cooking dinner right now. Perfect. I'll be right there. So I went over there, and she's used to me. She just kept cooking, and I'm telling her my sad story about this guy. I'm going to lose my job. Blah, blah, blah. And she said, it's not so much a fear as it is laziness. I was like, what the heck? What laziness? Yes. And she was spot on. She knew me. If I lose that job now, I have to go get all dressed up and go interview with some new company, try to get that job, meet a bunch of new people. I don't like meeting new people. Train for a new job. I hate that part. And then I might not like it once all that happens. I already know this job. I know the people. I know who to watch out for, So, yeah, it was laziness. That's all it was. I was just stunned to learn that. Why do I need to be afraid of losing that job? That as it turned out, they did fire me eventually after COVID hit, and it was a hotel. Their business went way down. So I got laid off, and I got ousted, and I was like, oh, poor me, And then all of a sudden I realized, okay, now I get to go to the East Coast with my boyfriend during the summer instead of staying in Lake Tahoe all by myself. Okay, this is better. I got a job that I work remote now, paying me a ton. It's like almost double what they paid me for less work and less responsibility. I'm like, huzzah! I couldn't be any happier that they fired me. It was a great thing, as it turns out. I'm going to tell you my Chinese farmer story real quick for those who haven't heard it. Centuries ago, there was an old farmer, and he only had one son left. All the other kids had left. And they were working the farm together. They only had one horse. Times were tough. And then one day, this horse ran off. And all the neighbors came by and said, oh, my God, that's so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible news. The guy said, it might be good, might be bad. I don't know yet. So a couple of weeks later, the horse came back and brought 3 more with it. The neighbor's like, oh, my God, that's fantastic. What great news. I'm so happy for you. The guy said, might be good, might be bad. We don't know yet. So the son gets on these horses trying to break them so that they can start working with them. He fell off and broke his leg. And here comes the neighbor. Oh, my God, that's terrible. Oh, that's so sad for you. I'm so sorry. And the guy said, might be good, might be bad. We don't know yet. About a month later, the Chinese army came through taking all the healthy young men. But they didn't take his son because he had a broken leg. So we don't know. We don't know anything. We don't know the purpose of what's going on. It seems like a bad thing, but we really don't know if it is. So once I was gifted with that story, I started, well, I do tend to label things. All right. So I've been really trying not to use that good and bad. Really trying. I'm not good at it, but I'm working at it. So, see, I just did it. I'm getting better. There we go. Closest I can come. Okay. Let's see. Self-esteem. He doesn't think enough of me to keep my secret. He's right about that. Ambitions. I might not get promoted if I speak up. He's probably right about that too. How did I use these patterns to keep the relationship going? Use the patterns list. Go to your patterns and find out. Look down on each one of those columns. And denial. I picked this out for myself. I didn't get this out of the book. I picked minimize, alter, or deny how I truly feel. I'm actually really mad at this guy, but I'm going to keep the relationship going anyway. I'm not going to confront him. I'm going to pretend everything's okay. Control. Pretend to agree with others to get what I want. Or adopt an attitude of indifference. He didn't hurt me. No way. Avoidance. Believe displays of emotion are a sign of weakness. Yeah, that's not true, as it turns out. Low self-esteem. Do not perceive myself as lovable or worthwhile person. And compliance. Make decisions without regard to the consequences. You know, he made a lot of decisions during this, all bad. He made the decision to tell this guy personal information. That was a bad decision. He made the decision not to confront him. That was a bad decision. If he had thrown a border or a boundary up on this guy, this wouldn't happen again. I threw up a boundary on my boss almost immediately when I found out that she was going to be my direct boss because of the way that she treated my supervisor, who she drummed out of the place. And she was horrible to her. Oh, man, she was just awful. And I thought, okay, I'm probably going to need to throw a boundary up right away because she'll feel comfortable treating me that same way. And so I got an email from her with, but not many. Some people apparently don't know this. If you write in all caps and use an exclamation, 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 that's yelling. Okay, that's yelling. Who doesn't know that? Well, that's what she sent me. So I answered her email with the information she wanted and then wrote in, please don't yell at me. And she was confused and, got on the Teams thing with me, and she explained the situation and this is that and blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I wasn't yelling at you. I said, actually, that's when you're writing somebody, when you use that kind, all caps and things like that. And she said, I did not know that. I doubt that. Who doesn't know that? Come on. Who doesn't know that? But I'll give her a break. She might not have known that. She says, I'm so sorry. I won't do that to you again. We have a marvelous relationship because I drew a boundary on her right away. I know what she can be like, so I threw up a boundary. And she's great to me. She talks to other people like crap, but they haven't set boundaries, So I feel sorry for them, but not sorry enough to take that on, I paid my dues, man. I'm serious. Okay. How is your pride affected? If you're looking for the middle of the onion, the actual problem here, find out how this affected your pride. When you find out the part that doesn't make you look very good, you're in the middle. You can do a 4-step backwards. You don't need to peel off layer by layer. Just find out how your pride was affected. That's the problem, or they would not be on your 4-step. Give that some thought. Don't take my word for it. Along with pride, how are these affected? I picked envy. I'm thinking about this guy. I could do his job better. I always thought that, though. I could do that job better. And let's see, what else have I got? He's a jerk, but he's more respected than I am. Why? Why, universe? Why is that true? Why do these a-holes get more respect and more friends? Because they're not legitimate relationships. They have all the brown nosers and suck-ups and things like that. That's not who they really are. When they're away from the boss, they're probably talking about him like crap, just like I do. I don't do that anymore. I don't need to. What were the consequences to me and to the relationship? I'll never feel the same about him. I will always be one down, and I'm always going to be on guard. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, right? because now you've been put in a position because you haven't done anything about it. You haven't confronted him, haven't done anything to correct this situation at all or to confront it. So you're one down forever. Even if that's not true, that's the way it feels. And that's the funny part about this. It might not be true. Let's see. I'll give you an example. I knew when I was growing up that I was fat and I was stupid. I'm going to tell you why. Now, I dropped 45 pounds this year. Don't let this fool you. I used Manjaro. I cheated. Okay, which is great stuff. But I was always the pudgy kid, and I was a B- student. My sisters were thin, and they were straight A kids, both of them. So nobody had to tell me, Karen, you're stupid. It was obvious. It was a matter of public record. They got A's, and I didn't. So there it is. Nobody said, you're stupid. I said that. Nobody said, you're fat. Didn't need to. My sisters are both cute. They got the cute little waist and all this. I never had a waist. I wear men's jeans. I don't have a waist still. I'm 125 pounds and I don't have a waist. How is that possible? I'll have to remove my lower rib, I think is all it is. It's okay. And I'm thinking about, no, I'm not. So this is just me. This is the way I look, and that's the end of it. But they were always thinner, and they were always smarter. In my mind, nobody else told me I was stupid. As it turns out, my sisters and I went and had an IQ test done one time. Just a weird thing to do. We just, oh, yeah, we'll do it, whatever. I got the highest IQ in the family. And it's not that I'm better than they are. I think differently than they do. IQ is all about logical thinking. They're good memorizers. If it doesn't interest me, I'm not filing it. It's gone, So I don't do well on tests. But they did. They did really good, obviously, straight A's. And they were the type, they barely studied. I'm like, you guys suck. It was always hard for me. And if you just work harder, Karen, you could be the same as they are. You could be just like them. I look about that now and I'm thinking, is that what I really want? I don't know. I'd like to have a waist, but I don't want to at the cost of their lives. No. We all had our weird ways of going. I turned into an alcoholic. They married alcoholics. So they didn't have it any easier than I did. What are your thoughts and revelations about this person now? And this is when we get down, well, when I do the 5th step with the people that I sponsored, this is the part where I say, okay, how do you see this now? If it was him sitting here, he should have never told him that stuff. I got him way too high on that list. All I need to do going forward is put everybody where they belong, not where I want them. That's the big difference. And so that's the 4th step. That's what I put all my girls through. But by the time they're done, they know what the problem is. And again, it's just looking right in the mirror. Let's see, if anybody wants to give me a viable, am I on until 4:30? Anyone? 4:30, thank you. Goody. Okay, does anybody have a scenario that they would like to throw at me that we can do a 4-step on? Yes.
It's more about choosing people for the list. So, for example, some are evidence, like husband, whatever, like mother. But for example, if my mother had a boyfriend for a certain time who was violent, alcoholic, and I had some consequences, but I was not really I was not acting actively when I was a child. So is this part of this list?
Sure is. And yes, you were acting. I know we don't realize that, but the patterns are methods of acting a certain way so that we can calm the room down. Avoidance was mine. I ran away as much as I could. Compliance is a good one. When that person is in the room, you know what, by now, you know what makes them happy. If you're silent and that makes them happy, then you quiet yourself down. You'll do whatever they need to not let that water boil over. So you've been acting for a long time. So you'll be able to spot it in other people. That's the silver lining. But yeah, you've adjusted yourself so much so that you don't even know it. Once you get to be authentic in your own self, you're going to be able to spot it in other people because they'll contradict themselves eventually. I'm so glad you asked me that. That was awesome. Yeah, you did. Yes. The question was, on the levels of friendship, have I ever moved somebody down and moved them back up? Yes, I have. My best friend one time, it's funny to think about it now, but she actually wounded me. She's my best friend, but she made this offhand comment one time. She said, well, thank you so much for doing that. You're normally not that thoughtful. I thought, what the hell did she just say to me? What, this girl, I have sponsored you for how many decades, and you still, I've been, I was speechless. I was stupefied. How dare you say I'm not thoughtful? So what happened was that barb went straight in. I let it all the way in because she's at my friendship level. So that goes in. It's not superficial. But I pulled it back out and said, let's take a look at this. Am I a thoughtful person? Okay. Well, let's take a look. In my mind, being thoughtful is, the situation was I was meeting her. She's coming from a different state. We're meeting at a hotel. She normally goes to sleep at 7 o'clock at night. And I wasn't landing until 10. And she was going to come pick me up at the airport. And I called her. I said, that's silly. I'll just take an Uber, And she said, oh, you're so thoughtful. That you're normally not like that. Which made me go, of course I am. What are you talking? But my idea of thoughtfulness was different from hers. Her idea of thoughtfulness, unfortunately, is very codependent. Her thoughtfulness has an agenda. She brings the most expensive gift to a gift exchange. She wants to make the best dish at a potluck so that somebody will tell her how wonderful she is. She has an agenda. I don't. There are two methods of operation. One is love, one is fear. If I'm operating out of love, whatever I do is specifically for that other person. If I'm operating out of fear, it's about me. I have a really funny example on this one. I can't believe some of the stuff I used to do. I go, wow, you were really sick. But I was very not comfortable in social situations. And so if I would go to a dinner party at somebody's house or if I was throwing it at my house, didn't matter. When it comes to the after dinner and before dessert, everybody chit-chats, I'm not good at that. It makes me uncomfortable. Now, if I'm sitting there with a bunch of recovery people, but can't shut me up. But when it's just people that I barely know or something like that, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't have those skills. I was not given those skills. Okay. So the first thing I thought of to do was clear the table and do the dishes, because it covers that whole period, right? Even when I'm at somebody else's house, I'd get up and do the dishes. The hostess just loved me. Oh, my God. I was always invited back because I would do their dishes. Oh, yes, thank you so much. That was so sweet. Had nothing to do with her. Had to do with me. So I wasn't operating out of love. I was operating out of fear. And that's the big difference. Hope that answered your question. Okay, yes. Yes.
Different people define pride different ways.
Mm-hmm.
How do you define pride?
Pride,
In this context.
yes. Pride is where let me think about it for just a moment so I can answer you correctly. I know that when I have found out what my center is, I don't look good. I'm prideful. Well, actually, first let's look that word up. Hold on. I love the dictionary. Because I used to know everything. Turns out. Did I spell it right? Yes, I did. A high or inordinate opinion of one's own dignity, importance, merit, or superiority, whether as cherished in the mind or as displayed in bearing, conduct, etc. Yeah. If somebody, for example, questions my integrity, they better look out, because now that I finally have some, don't press that button on me. I'll give you an example of a situation that caused my pride to be wounded. I was working in an office. They had no windows, very loud, because there was nothing to take the loudness away. Whoever was talking in there was louder than normal. And my coworker talked all day long, nonstop. She's just working away, talk. I don't know what was going on with her. And when she wasn't talking, she was la-la-laing or humming or something. I'm like, shut up. And she had this really loud, barking way of speaking. She wouldn't ease into a sentence. She'd, and it scared me. I didn't realize what was going on. I didn't realize that I was afraid when I heard that noise, because when I was growing up, that kind of a barking noise meant danger. That meant somebody was in trouble. Well, I had labeled her as the problem. Oh, I'm telling the wrong story. This is a good one, though. I labeled her as the problem, and I went about ways to silence her, tried to figure out how can I make her be quiet so that I will feel more comfortable. Okay, after I figured out what my problem was, again, go look in the mirror. Just go look in the mirror for a while. It'll come to you. I bought some earplugs, put those in, and it muffled it just enough so that it didn't bother me anymore. This same girl used to come into work late every day. Not 5 minutes, not 10 minutes, half an hour, every day. And she'd come busting through the door with a new excuse. And we used to almost catalog them, just throw a number out. I'm using number 36 today. But every day she would come in with the same hyperventilating, blustery, oh my God, this and that happened. I'm so sorry. And my boss would sit there, yeah, roll her eyes, and that was about it. Well, I guess they were more friendly than I realized. I was late one day, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm never late. I don't like to be late. I like to be early. Just in case something happens, you don't know, right? So I'm 5 minutes late, and I come racing through the door. Oh, my God, I'm so sorry. And I started explaining what happened. And she told me, spare me, basically. She just, and dressed me down in front of this girl that's a half an hour late every day. And my pride was wounded. How dare you compare me to this other girl? How dare you? Yeah, and I went to my sponsor about it. Yeah, but, and she kept saying, but you were late, right? Yeah, but I was only late 5 minutes. This girl is late all the time. It comes down to that sense of fairness. When I feel like something is not fair, that's when my pride gets hurt. And that's when that button gets pushed. And let me think about your question a little bit more, and I'm going to catch up with you and answer that better. But if I'm upset about something, it's because I was embarrassed. There we go. To me, that means I'm embarrassed. Okay. Because I was humiliated in front of this girl. I mean, that was awful. And so my sponsor kept telling me, yeah, but you were late, right? Yeah, but only 5 minutes. Now, this girl was late every single day, and I explained it to her again, because obviously she didn't hear me the first time about this girl, right? So I'm explaining it to her again. She says, yeah, but you were late also. Well, yeah, but see, I was only late once, I was only 5. Yeah, but you were late, weren't you? I finally gave up. And I said, yes, I was late. Okay. So rather than compare yourself to this other girl, she's not even in this thing. This is between you and your boss. She has nothing to do with this. Take her completely out of the picture and then just deal with your own behavior. I'm like, man, yeah, but I'm going to lose if I do that, And I did. So I went in and apologized profusely to my boss for being late and promised her I wouldn't be late again, and I wasn't. I didn't have to go through but she's late every day. Didn't have to do that because I accepted my responsibility only. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, low self-esteem. I'm crazy with it. Not anymore. I might be bordering on narcissism. I'm not sure. But I have a balanced opinion of myself. I call it right-sized. This is important because in the book, they keep talking about humility. And you have to get humble and that sort of thing, which tells me that I need to come down a couple of notches. Well, I've been coming down a couple of notches for a very long time. That's the way I lived. To me, there are times when I need to come down a couple of notches when I'm trying to control things. But there are also times when I need to come up a couple of notches. if I'm practicing low self-esteem or compliance. So to me, instead of humility, I use that word right-sized. Stick that in there. Don't always have to come down. Sometimes you have to come up. Who has questions? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Trustworthy?
Yeah. Trust comes in somewhere around 5.
Uh-huh.
In our promises, we trust the trustworthy. Where do we learn what trustworthy is?
We're going to look at their behavior. The question is, where do we learn who is trustworthy and who isn't? I'm sorry.
Before that, where do we get the root definition of what's trustworthy?
You know where I get the definition of things like that? I look it up in the dictionary, I swear to you. I look it up in the dictionary and find out what it says. Let's look that up. That's a good point. And also, why do I need to trust that person? There's I remember what I was going to say about this girl who told me that I wasn't thoughtful. When I finally took it out and took a look at it right about here so that I didn't get hurt by it anymore, I said, okay, is that true or not true? Well, it's kind of true, but not in the sense that she means it. But also, if it is true, is it a defect? Is this something I need to correct? It might not be. Okay, trustworthy. Trustworthy. Okay. Deserving of trust or confidence, dependable, reliable. That's what that says. So go to your dictionary. Go to it often. Figure. Yep.
This person said, I learned who was trustworthy from my parents. And my parents were very dysfunctional.
Oh, wow.
And I learned it because they told me you should trust these people.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And therefore they became my model
Right.
of trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
If I carry that into my program,
Yeah, you need to lose that right away. He just mentioned that when he was, his friend was younger, his parents told him, you can trust these particular people and not those particular people. And that's what he carried forward. And so he obviously trusted those people. You're going to want to break that down and find out, why are you taking their word for it? Number one, these people are obviously, it's something that you have to decide for yourself. One of my favorite things about CoDA is that you get to take a look at everything and find out if it's true or not. Is that real or is it not real? Is it true or not true? Does this apply to me or doesn't it? And if it is true, is it an actual defect? So you're the judge. You need to make all of those assessments for yourself. Yes.
So if you're doing the steps with your sponsor, you wait 90 days to trust them?
No. Sponsorship is an entirely different relationship from every other single one. But the feelings that you get around that person are right around a 4 and a 5, you know. You have to be able to trust that person, that they have your best interest at heart. My sponsor can tell me anything, and she has. She doesn't pull any punches with me. She'll say, Karen, next time you come up with a really good idea, just do the opposite, and you should be okay. What the heck? You know, but she's right. My good ideas got me a seat in AA, and then it got me a seat in CoDA. That's as far as I got. So my good thinking might need to be better looked at. Yeah. So she's right. Every time she tells me something like that, I'm going, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Because she got this through CoDA, too. She's gone through the steps. She has a good sponsor. She's done the work. The stuff that we got when we were kids was largely not true. The shame messages we learned as children were not true. Because shame has nothing to do with it. Guilt is, I did something wrong. Shame is, I am wrong. I'm flawed somehow. And that's not true. Each one of us has our own gifts. The problem is we get stuck in trying to have all the gifts. You know, if I can't do that really, really well, then I'm I got an F. Right? I used to say that I have a black thumb. I can't grow anything. I could kill a cactus, and I have. I've killed a cat. I overwatered it. I mean, I'm generous. So Cactus dead. And I was telling my sponsor about this. So what does she do on Christmas? She got me a plant. I'm like, oh, God, she never listens to me. Ugh. So, all it was she wanted me to find out for myself, is that true or not true? And what came out of that, I loved that plant. I nurtured it like a child. It was beautiful. And I eventually killed it because that's how it goes. But I just don't have the heart for it like other people do. I don't enjoy it like other people do. So I don't pay as much attention to it. I'm not patient in that area. I don't like it. So why would I, spend my time doing this? And that's the difference. It's not that I can't grow something. Of course I can. And it's not my thing, Yes. Great question. Yeah, how do I know if it's an actual red flag or if I'm dragging it up from my past? The CoDA is going to teach you to let that past be in the past. And after you've finished your 9th step, that's going to be completely resolved. So you're going to be going forward with your new information, not your old information. And we filter things through that past. And, where was I going? Hold on. You asked, how do I know? Okay. I'll give you an example. Lady's been married for a while. She finally gets a divorce because her husband was cheating on her all the time. Came home late every day and said he was working. Okay, so she finally is alone for a while and gets a new boyfriend, and everything's going great. He's a great guy. Everything's fine. She's looking good with him, and then one night he's home a half an hour late saying he had to work. And she opened both barrels on him because she had history. Late means cheating. So we got to make sure we're dealing with the actual subject at hand. That's hard because we do tend to pile on everything from the past into the current situation. Not fair for the person taking it, but that's just who we are until we learn anything different. Yes? Oh, yeah. How do you know when you've been triggered? When you've been triggered, you get uncomfortable. It's different for everybody. For me, it hits me right here. I don't feel good. All of a sudden, I'm confused. I'm going to go, what's going on here? And it doesn't happen that often. I have good news. The longer you work this program diligently, that less that happens. It happens about once a year to me now. Oh, gosh, what was the last one? Oh, yeah, this is so silly. I went in to give blood, and they pulled me aside. And I used to give blood every 2 months. I have very popular blood. And ironically, the only person who would kill is my boyfriend. So, no, whatever. But, so I went in to give blood, and they said, now, they pulled me aside. They were very polite. And they said, now, did you get a deferral letter a couple of years ago? And I said, oh, yeah. They said I had AIDS, but then I went and tested for it. And it turned out their test was too sensitive, and they knew this, and they know I don't have AIDS. She says, I know you don't have AIDS, but it's our policy that we can't take blood from you ever again in your lifetime. And I was hurt, and I was angry, because when it boiled down to, when I worked the steps on it, when I got done giving blood, you wrap your hand up really good, they wrap your arm up so it's obvious that something has happened, and people ask you, oh my goodness, what happened? Well, I gave blood. I give blood every 2 months. It was my ego. It was my pride. It was a source of pride for me. I got to show off, and I wasn't going to be able to do that ever again. That's what was hurting. So when you're triggered by something, go look in the mirror. Don't bother with those people. They told you the truth. That's their policy. They got nothing to do with this. Go look in the mirror and find out why you are upset about it. Yes? I'm sorry, what was the beginning of the question?
Can you just define again?
Sure. Yes. My boyfriend was raised in, the more he told me about his past, the more I thought, okay, yeah, I might be okay here. I might be safe here. And I started telling myself every day, okay, you're safe, knock it off, because my fears kept coming up every day. It's going to go south. It's going to be terrible. It's all, just like with everything else that's ever happened in my life, that's going to turn out badly. And every day I had to tell myself, don't worry, you're safe. He was raised because he would tell me things. He would tell me about the time he hit a baseball through the window. And he tried to deal with his brother, but trying to get his brother to take the rap for it and stuff like that because he knew he was going to get in trouble. No, all that stuff. And he did get punished for that. But on the other side of that, he told me how his mom went out and got a second job just so that she could put him in this special school, this boarding school, both him and his brother, to give them a better chance for a higher education. And they sacrificed for those kids. They suffered for them. They loved them. But if they did something wrong, they got punished. Listen to what they're telling you. People, because especially sick people want to tell you everything about themselves. That's what I did. I'd tell you everything so that you would feel sorry for me and understand me and treat me better. Listen to what they're telling you. The unhealthy people will tell you all about it. Okay. Who else? Anyone have a situation you want to risk a 4-step on? All right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a problem. I'm from Germany and American, and now through 2009 I'm in CoDA, and I have total different information. I went way back then. We know each other from 1990 to 94. We got married 94. So, and I had tremendous difficulties. And in 2009, I was then really recommended from a therapist into CoDA. So now I'm writing this, and I'm judging, evaluating this situation way back then before we got married, and we kind of it was very strange in a lot of ways. So how do I look at it?
How do you look at it now? That's a great question. If you find yourself now in a relationship that you should not have got in, what do you do? Okay. You have a couple of, one of the things that I'm asked the most when I start sponsoring somebody is, are you going to make me break up with my boyfriend? No, I'm not going to make you. You're probably going to make that decision, though. You know, that's the long version is after we get done with the steps, you decide if you can stay with that person. Here's what I know. 2 healthy people can stay together. 2 unhealthy people can stay together. But if you mix it up, the healthy one leaves. So if you can get her into recovery, if you can, in any way, try to get her into recovery as well, you have a chance. If not, then you have a choice. I'm sorry to say. That's why so many relationships don't work out. So it's a bummer, but there it is. Anybody else? Okay, so this morning we had a song. I got to pick the song. They let me pick the song. I said, oh, yeah, we got to go with James Brown, right? I mean, who better for a song to uplift you first thing in the morning? When you get into a turmoil like you were talking about, I'm messed up. I don't know what's in my head. I don't know what's going on right now. First thing I want you to do is turn that song on and listen to the words. There's only 3 lines in the whole thing. It says, get up off of that thing, which is right there, stand up, and dance until you feel better. And get up off of that thing and try to relieve that pressure. That's the whole lyrics of that song. And it's got great music. Stand up and dance around to that for a little while. And then sit back down and see, okay, what's the real deal here? Use your sponsor. Use your sponsor. My sponsor, I trust her implicitly because I know she is not going to lead me to destruction. Same thing with my higher power. My higher power will not lead me to destruction. So if I got that little voice, do it now, or go here, go there, do this or do that. Alrighty. So, because I know I'm not going to be taken to a place where I can't recover in whatever form that takes. Make sense? Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
I don't answer so you're talking about the person who tell you where they come from, right? They're dysfunctional.
They're past, yeah.
When you say that in terms of would that be a person who would right off the bat be untrustworthy, and then they would have to build that trustworthy? It's not
correct.
You say could you never trust.
Correct.
Friends and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I know a couple people in the program that have got over 20 years in and never worked the steps. What's up with that? They're cheating themselves, number one. but they are not trustworthy. But since they have time, newcomers go, oh, you're an oracle. You get to decide for yourself who's trustworthy and who isn't. Correct. That's correct. Don't pay attention to what they say. Pay attention to what they do. You know, that they're going to try to impress you some way when you first meet them. Put that all aside. And just, take a look at them. See what they do. They'll show you. And when they show you, believe them. Does somebody else have something? Yes.
Yes, I'm just a bit confused about the form of the whole step because there are so many options. There is this new brochure, 40 questions for positive. You will also a different form.
Right.
So what would you recommend?
This is what I give my sponsees. This is the 4-step that I use with them.
Situation, you ask them instead of this.
Right.
Ask them
Write down a situation. Let's go through it and figure out what happens to you when that happens. Okay. Briefly, I'll tell you one more story. It was around Christmas time. Some of you probably already heard this. I apologize. But I was a teenager. We were all back in the master bedroom wrapping gifts from my stepdad's company for his kid giveaway. There's basketballs. How do you wrap a basketball? Come on. So I'm trying to avoid those. But anyway, we're wrapping. Now, at the beginning of the evening, my mom told us, don't go in the garage for any reason. Okay. All right. I will not go in the garage. At the end of the time when we had wrapped all these presents, a great big bag of garbage there, she told me to take the garbage out. Okay, so that's my new directive. Take the garbage out. Garbage is in the garage. So I didn't think about that. I honestly didn't. I went right out there, flung the door open. There's my stepdad putting bikes together for us kids for Christmas. So here comes Mom. Now, my mom is small, okay? She's maybe 5 feet. She might top out there, maybe 100 pounds. But you can hear her coming a mile away. You know, she slams her feet down, and she's coming down the hallway at me, and I'm like, uh-oh. Because I've done something terrible here. I already know that, and I have no way out of it. My stepdad screams at me, shut the door. So I shut the door. And then I'm standing there waiting for whatever was going to come next. Here comes my mom. And she said, what did you see? Oh, no, I can't. And I froze. There's fight, flight, or freeze. And I was frozen in that position. I couldn't say anything because if I tell the truth, which is like a good girl, I'm going to get in trouble because my sisters are right behind her. If I say bikes in front of them, they're going to freak out, which they did as soon as it, But if I lie, she's going to know I'm lying, so I can't do that. If I tell you, and I'm thinking, what should I do? How can I work this out? And she, again, what did you say? And she's got this crinkle right here, and her face is red and everything. And I'm like, oh, man, there's no way out of this one. So I told the truth like an idiot. And I said, I saw the bikes. And, of course, my sister's, bikes! And freaked out. And I was like, oh, God. And Mom goes, oh, great. Now you ruined Christmas. Thanks a lot. And I said, I started kind of stammering. And she said, well, you could have just said you saw it. Okay, that's crap, all right? That's crap. Here's the thing. Knowing what I know now, in that exact same situation, I would have just simply said, Mom, are you sure you want me to say this out loud? That's it. It's the third option. Should I tell the truth or should I lie? That's all I could come up with. And I didn't realize I had a third option. Don't answer that question. Ask her if she wants me to say it out loud. She'll realize what she's done, But boy, did I get nailed that Christmas. God. Well, here's the bikes that you already know about. Mom was ruthless, but yeah. Yes.
Well, I was just going to say, and how many times many of us have been in that situation? So, as an adult, getting cornered like that.
Yep. There's a third option, and let me tell you what you should do. First of all, don't answer the question. All right? You don't have to answer the question. All you need to say is, I need to think about that. Let me think about that, because it's true. Tell the truth. I need to think about that. Basically, I need to go grab my dictionary and, I need to go figure some things out before I answer that question. And then I will come back, and I always come back and answer the question my way. Sometimes it's maybe, sometimes it's, do you want me to say that out loud? You know, there's a third option now. You are not trapped. You're not stuck. Sure thought I was, though. Anyone else? Yes. Yes. Guilt is when you did something wrong. Shame is when you are wrong. You're flawed. And you are not flawed. None of us are. I have certain gifts, and I don't have others. I would love to be able to be a crafty person. I love that. I think it looks so cool. And every once in a while, I suck up and buy one of those little kits and stuff. It looks awful when I'm done. Doesn't look anything like the picture, and I'm reminded, once again, I don't have that gift. You know, it's okay. I usually keep them in a pile in the closet to remind me, but that's just me making fun of myself. Thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate it.